Hello, and welcome to the Balance and Blissful Energies podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Elizabeth Hechavarria, and today I am happy to have Daphne Michaels with me. Welcome, Daphne.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Daphne Michaels is a human potential expert and ultra consciousness guide whose work bridges science, spirituality, and personal transformation. Daphne has a background in behavioral science and integral psychology. She has spent decades exploring the full range of human consciousness, from the depths of the psyche to the subtle anatomy of energy. Her mission is to help others embody elevated consciousness in everyday life through the energetic tools and insights she shares in the SHB movement. She's led over 20,000 private sessions, 1,800 group experiences, and 3,500 leadership trainings, and she's developed more than 700 original teaching materials on topics like spiritual coaching, healing, and conscious leadership. Daphne, I'm really looking forward to diving into your work. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here to talk about all of these concepts with you.
Wonderful. And so maybe we can start with a definition of what is ultra consciousness. You mentioned that it's like the ultimate state of awareness, but what does that look like and feel like in everyday life?
Ultra consciousness is a term that was actually coined in the early 1900s by Henry LaFontaine, who was a Nobel Peace Prize laureate, and Paul Otlet, who was the father of information science. He came up with the Dewey Decimal System. So the two of them together formed an institute, and they set out to catalog all of human experiences. And what they cataloged in this institute was the term ultra consciousness. Now, at that time, they defined it as a state of being which surpassed mere self awareness and actually took people to a connection with universal energy. It was
Hmm.
the ultimate state of consciousness where people would be transformed in a moment. And they would come back from these moments with incredible awareness about life that we can't find in everyday life. So they said that it was a very rare state of, or a very rare occurrence. And I think now, about 100 years later, 125 years later or so, or 100 years later, um, it's not rare anymore. Our species has evolved to the point that more and more people are having spiritual awakenings. So, this is far beyond trying to get to know ourselves through self discovery. This is about going into heightened states of consciousness to discover more about who we are.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Um, and something that, interestingly, I feel like I'm completely with you on it being more common nowadays, having maybe not experienced exactly the ultra consciousness state. I'm not sure. Maybe we can explore that, but I've certainly had my peak states where I feel like I am accessing something that is beyond my normal level of awareness.
Exactly. And it's so exciting to talk with people like you who are able to really communicate about these experiences because when we talk about peak states, generally speaking, that was the vocabulary of before. And that vocabulary takes people to states of consciousness where they can be their best. And so it's really a human potential almost like an athletic kind of, doing your best. But ultra consciousness is a whole different level of awareness. And so it's beyond the peak state. It's beyond who we think we are. And it moves us into these elevations where we get insights that are very helpful in our daily life, but they're epiphanies that are beyond what we can actually um, that beyond what is common.
Right. Oh, cool. So take us back to, you started on this path a long time ago
A
when you were
long
only
time
19. I
ago.
mean, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
date you. I'm just
Oh, you
saying you were
should, you should.
19 and, you've had a lot of experience, obviously, from all the people that you've been able to help all these
Yes,
years. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I had an ultra conscious experience. So when I was 19, I had the experience of merging with the stars. And so that moment in my life gave me such an amazing download. And I think download is kind of a common term these days where people are on a spiritual path and they say, I got a download about something. And so I had a download when I was 19, but the download was so enormous that I was not able to integrate it into my daily life very well. So I was extremely confused for about 5 years. And the um but I never let go of it. That's the thing. I could never let go of what I learned when I connected with the stars that night. But I couldn't put it into words either. So I
Yeah.
set out on a journey to try to understand what I learned and how to put it into words. And that has been a lifelong journey.
Wow. Yeah. It gives me memory of as another person who Richard Rudd, who also describes how he had one of these experiences that lasted 3 days where he was in a completely altered state and had received mega downloads, and
Yes.
it took him many years to unpack that all before he developed the gene keys.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, you hear about it once in a while with musicians as well, right? And I've actually had music come to me too,
Mm.
which I'm having produced by a producer. So I'm able to go to those states for music and for insight for other people too. So I would say that I'm a channel now.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Great. So, yeah, tell me more about your elevation understanding embodiment model. How do people shift in seconds, as you describe?
So this is what I had to figure out, and it took a long time to figure it out. And what helped me understand it was a combination of being introduced to Deepak Chopra's work about
Mm.
30 years ago, and then also Alex Gray's artwork. And Alex Gray's artwork is of the human energy system by and large. So I took this into a doctoral program, actually. And I said to the professors, I want to understand how this works. I want to understand how the human body channels universal energy to support their daily life. And they said, well, here's the good news. Here's the good news and the bad news. The bad news is that there's nobody teaching this, right? That information is not available,
Okay.
right? The good news is that you're in a doctoral program and you get to design the theory. And I said, oh my gosh, I can't do that. This is way over my head. However, an interesting thing happened. I had my son about a year later, and it was after the birth of my son that my energy opened so high that I was able to understand it for the first time. And so then I brought through the body of work. And so the body of work is really about it's using the chakra system and understanding exactly where the ego sits in our psyche. And then understanding on an experiential level exactly where the energy flows and where it's flowing from. And being able to develop our consciousness enough through the chakra system, getting into the upper chakras, developing that level of energetic awareness to have command over our own being, not just our thoughts and feelings, but our chakras and our energy field. And then we can learn to shift in seconds. And I have taught people now how to recalibrate their energy in 5 seconds to take them to a heightened state of consciousness. And we also practice energetic form so that we're forming the light body in a way that it can withstand daily life.
And you do this with meditations or with physical exercises, combination, music? Tell me.
Yeah, so I teach. So the movement that I have is called the SHB Movement. I've been teaching energetics for about 25 years. So in my teaching, I'm working with people individually and through groups. So it's live. I can see energetically. So I can tell people what's happening inside their being when they're blocked or when their energy is not flowing. And I can help them identify how to open up a little bit more. And
Hmm.
so there, I would say it's not meditation, but it is guided imagery in a way, right? But it's more like guided experience. So I teach people how to move up to their upper chakras and follow that line and then recalibrate their entire system to that vibration.
Hmm.
So, whereas a lot of energy work has a vibration that they work with. So, like for instance, Reiki has a specific vibration that's handed from person to person to person. The
Right.
model that I teach is where people are tuning into their own personal vibration at their highest potential that they can reach in the moment, and then recoding their light body with that vibration.
Wow.
So
That
we're
sounds
always
very
in
powerful. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we're always in relationship to ourself,
Hmm.
not anybody else's vibration, not following anybody. It's our own vibration, but learning how to tap into it and then expand it and embody it so that we can live it.
Yeah. And that's so much more powerful than, you're not relying on anybody else to be giving you that energy or channeling that
Exactly.
energy to you. You're accessing it yourself through your
Yeah,
system. Yeah.
exactly.
That's really cool. Yeah. I have experience like, just through I call it all meditation, where, I'll focus
Yeah.
on different chakras and feel the energy in those areas, both within the center and maybe around.
Mhm.
Um, and over the years, I can sense it very easily where,
Yes.
where am I at now? And then bring myself to
Uh-huh.
the heart center and then try to come
Yes.
up, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
it's probably around the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
every single chakra unfolds into entire universes. There is so much in every single chakra to unfold. It's an endless discovery of who we are.
Mm, nice. Yeah. So, using these tools that you've been teaching energy. So this is not, just to be clear, this is not tapping.
No,
These energetics are not tapping. Okay.
no.
Just wanted to clarify because there is a lot of tapping work out there,
Mhm.
and this is different.
Yes.
Share with us like a really impactful story of a client or more than one client that you've worked with, something that's really, yeah, giving you goosebumps.
Well, I had a client that was told she had cancer, and she was very worried about it, worried but not worried because she knew how to tap in. And she's like, I don't know, this is that. She was scheduled for surgery. And so these are the kinds of things that happen when we're in this kind of world, right? This kind of life experience. So basically, what happened is she was scheduled to go in for surgery. And they said, you know, they pretty much thought it was cancer. And so I said, let's just do one more big session of restorative touch, which is what I do,
Mhm.
what I've developed. And it was over the phone. And I was in my location, she was in her location. And as soon as I started working with my hands, because I do work with my hands, and I'm doing this work through 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 space, right? A raven shows up right next to my window. And this would not be a place that a raven would show up, but it looked at me directly in the eyes. In fact, it was so incredible that I took a picture of it, and I still have a picture of that raven. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the raven is helping. I could feel it. Right. And
Yeah.
so I kept doing what I was doing. She went into surgery the next day. They took out a 10-pound tumor, and it was not cancerous.
Amazing.
She felt amazing.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
really mhm.
it's really big. It's really big what this work can do. This work can shift everything on every level,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not saying I'm shifting it. I'm saying the universe is shifting it because we are developing pathways to be able to channel universal energy at this level.
Right. And she was already working with you. It wasn't like a
Yes.
first-time client. So she had
I've
already
had first time
established her
mhm.
yeah.
I've had first time clients have amazing experiences.
So, okay.
Mhm.
Do you wanna share one of those?
Well, I can tell you, I was doing a talk at a location, um, and there was maybe 60 people there or whatever, and I said, "Okay, everyone, just tap into this higher vibration," right? And then I cast the vibration because that's something we can do, right? We can cast a vibration. In fact, I think the Dalai Lama does it all the time, right? When he
Mhm.
just, through our presence or whatever. So, anyway, I cast a vibration. I started talking about energetics or whatever. And I received an email a couple of days later. And this woman said, I had the most incredible experience the other night when you were talking. I have been depressed for years. And all of a sudden, my whole energy, my body got really warm, and I could literally feel the depression lifting out of me. And she said, and I've not felt better in years.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Right? I mean, these kinds of stories are common in the work that I do with people. Because that stuff that is inside us that is causing problems, it's just vibration. It's emotion and it's thought that has not transmuted, that has not processed, and it's
Mhm.
stuck, right? If we can get the right vibration to lift it out or to transmute it, then we have gone to a new level of consciousness.
Yeah.
And
And have you oh, go ahead, please.
Well, I was going to say that next level of consciousness is always there waiting for us, right? And it we know that we're ready for it when we're in inner conflict, right? Because the only way out, they used to say the only way out is through, the only way out is up.
Mm. Yeah.
Mhm.
A different way of through.
Yeah, exactly. To a higher vibration.
Right. Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask, do you encounter situations where the energy is in such a state that maybe you get to lift some, but it's like, there's layers, so to speak, like you get one level and then like it takes a while and then another level may be up for because that's the way I perceive it, that even on
Yeah.
myself there's sort of like peeling an onion where you'll get like a little bit off and then it'll take a little while to work its way up to be ready to be transmuted, shall we say.
Yeah, yeah. What I think is that the universe knows what it's doing. So the universe is not going to allow the energy to um make us disoriented to the point that we can't function.
Mhm.
right? So there's another part of us that's our ego structure, which is not a bad thing, it just is. It's going to hold us in homeostasis so that we don't blow up our life,
Mhm.
right? It's going to sense some kind of danger when the energy starts shifting. Like, okay, what does this mean? In fact, people around us become afraid, right?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
what's she into? Right? Like,
Yeah.
no, don't do that kind of thing. So there's this inherent fear in evolution. And so that's going to hold us back. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is that I will be the first to say that this is powerful work, and that if you have for people that have mental health issues like depression, anxiety, clinical issues, they
Mhm.
need to work with their provider, and they need to make sure that energetics are a good thing, right? Because energetics can be so powerful that they can cause people who are already struggling to struggle more.
Right.
So that's really important.
Yeah.
And so, but a lot of providers are like, yeah, let's try it.
Mhm.
Right? In fact, I've done physical healing work on people who were not able to walk because their knee was so, messed up, and was able to get them walking again. And their provider said, I don't know what you're doing. I don't understand it, but keep doing it.
Yeah.
Right, right. So this work works on all different levels. But in terms of the layers at a time, what happens is we have our I am, that our identity, right? Our personal identity. And that's actually coded into our upper chakras. And that has to shift for the energy to clear, right? We have to be able to say, for instance, I am a healer. That's hard for a lot of people to say.
Mhm.
I am a channel. That's hard for people to say. I am ultra conscious, right? And ultra consciousness is not a sustained state. It's something we tap into and out of, but we have access to it. So these are scary things for people to admit they are for a lot of different reasons. And so if our identification can't shift to the truth of who we are, then the energy is not going to clear. So the layers have to do with the evolution of our identity.
That makes so much sense. Yeah. Yeah. And I totally get also why when you're, well, in my experience, when you're working with someone, um, it takes a lot of talking as well
Yes.
to get
Yes.
to an understanding, right? It's like
Mhm.
you have to get the mental to get it to a level of understanding, and
Yes.
and the emotional almost as well, right? Like you have to get like, okay,
Yes.
it's you got to not
Yes.
be so scared of the potential change to then allow,
Exactly.
to then
And
allow. Yeah.
yes, yes, and you said it beautifully. Don't be afraid of the potential
Hmm.
change, but it's the potential, right, that people are afraid of. So, yeah, it's amazing when people are willing to get to the truth of who they are, it shifts everything.
Hmm.
I'm thinking now about some of the addictions work that I've helped people do, right, in terms of recovery. And so I used to have really good, and it's not, I mean, I could probably do this again. I just haven't done this. But basically, I had really good luck with people who were trying to quit smoking because I would be able to find that part of them that was not a smoker, right? The child,
Yep.
right? Before they started smoking, right? I was able to find that. Now, a lot of people say, the healer or the person helping, that the way they help is by making contact with the person underneath the problem,
Hmm.
right? So, and I would just find that person and I would say, you're not a smoker. right? And I would see it go click. I'm not a smoker. I'm really not. I've been smoking for 20 years, but oh my gosh, it's not core to who I am. And they would walk out and they would never smoke again because the shift happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. And it just goes so well also with this concept of, you talk about the I am. The I am is the decision maker, right?
Oh, yes.
And so when you make that decision, when it really comes from your will,
Yes.
then anything is possible.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. In fact, I would go as far to say, on a quantum level, meaning energetics in the universe, that when we do that, we are locking into the hologram and we are saying, this is where I want to be. And then the synchronicities happen,
Yeah.
the magnetics kick in.
Right. It's
Yeah.
that tuning into that higher timeline or to that best version of you type of
Yes.
idea. Yeah.
Yes. And it just clicks and it's like opens the path.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it just really takes courage
Yeah.
to change. Like it's like you have to really not go into it thinking that I'm gonna heal out of this. Let's say it's an anxiety problem. I'm gonna heal out of this anxiety, but I'm still gonna be the same person who developed the anxiety problem, right? It's like, no, there kind of has to be a whole shift.
Yeah, and what I would say about that is that the shift is not only personal, it's actually collective. It's a recognition that I'm part of this group of humans that are in an accelerated evolution. I
Hmm.
belong on this wave. I'm one
Hmm.
of I'm part of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Not being not feeling like you have to stay true to that version of you
Mhm.
that was in high school.
Exactly.
Like, it's like
Absolutely.
we're meant to evolve, we're meant to change.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so, unfortunately, sometimes we find ourselves in relationships where one person is ready to take that leap and the other one not, right? And then
Mhm.
how have you helped people out in that situation where it no longer is a good match or they're being held back because they're scared of losing that relationship?
Or the other person's super uncomfortable, right? It
Hmm.
does create problems. I
Yeah.
think it's always helpful for people that are in relationships to do this work together.
Hmm.
That's preferable. Um, if one person is on an accelerated journey, then the other person is going to feel left behind. And if that creates too much tension in the relationship, I think they need to work with somebody, right? Because they have to figure it out. You can't live two different levels of consciousness or two different levels of vibrations in the same relationship and be happy.
Right.
So I do think that it's part of the issue. However, it's never part of the answer to hold yourself back
Right.
because
No.
ultimately
Yeah.
we have a connection to the universe. This is our life and we need to follow our path.
Right. And if you're finding this work, chances are it's for a reason, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. But you need lots of support and you need lots of help. There have been people on this path now consciously for 40, 50 years, right? Who can name it, speak it, talk about the hurdles, the challenges, the bliss,
Hmm.
and are able to help other people say, don't make any decisions right now. Just, do your best to try to transform as a couple. And if the gap gets wider and wider, work with somebody to help narrow the gap and make this part of your relationship, make this part of your discovery.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it can be a beautiful
Oh.
co-discovery, right? And
It's the
And
ultimate.
yeah,
It's the
yeah,
ultimate, really. I mean, having the couples I've worked with a lot of couples, and they're just on such a natural high because
good.
their relationships are so authentic, and they try. They do calibration exercises together. They do energy work for each other. They talk about how they want to let go of behaviors that take them into the lower vibrations, and they just want to feed the light and the love,
Hmm.
inside their relationship. Yeah, incredible.
Beautiful. And how
Mhm.
about the impact on children?
I think it's beautiful, right? The thing about children is that children recognize this energy, and they are so drawn to it. They need it. It's a
Mm,
coherent state of being. It's in some ways very childlike. And so children need this. The thing that is the most challenging with children, and I know this because I raised my son in the energy,
hmm.
the thing that's the most challenging, which I don't think, I wish I could have done it over because I don't think I had a handle on it at the time, but it's the bridge to their life in school. That was brutal. And I knew that it was brutal for him. I actually took him out of one school because the energy was not healthy, put him in another school, but that was hard. So hopefully, as a collective, we'll get to a point where schools are safe for children. And right now, that's not often the case.
Mm. I think it is getting better. I mean, certainly from
Mhm.
when I was in school, based on what I can tell with I have two young boys.
Aha,
Yeah, well, they're teenagers
good.
now, but still, yeah,
Yeah, right, right.
yeah. But from what I hear, the way the teachers talk, and um, it doesn't seem to be so out of the ordinary to talk about negative energy and having good energy and that sort of thing, like,
Good, that's
yeah,
lovely. I'm happy to
yeah,
hear that.
yeah.
I really am, because I think bringing this awareness into schools could be incredibly transformational because children need it. And for children to have this kind of awareness, for children to understand their chakras,
Hmm.
right? It's incredible. My son was perceiving energy at 4 years old, and he knew the chakras, and he did energy healing on me from the time he was about 5, right? So and he has not chosen to go into it directly, right? He's kind of finding his own way. Um, but he knows energy, and it has given him such an appreciation for nature, for one thing, because when
Hmm.
you know energy and you go into nature, you have such an elevated experience. So there's a lot of work to do with this whole thing with children, but I'm glad we're moving in that direction.
Yeah, I'm a pediatrician, so
Yes, of
right.
course,
Yeah.
yes, you
So
see it.
whenever it has
Hmm.
to do with how we can improve for
Oh my
our
gosh.
children, absolutely, because
Yes.
they are new frequency bringers anyway. They're already
Yes,
coming in at
they
a higher level.
are. They
And
are.
yeah, and your son probably, I mean, it sounds like he activated you just through the pregnancy.
He
So,
did, right?
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's exactly what happened. I told him, I said, I had twins, right? You and the energy you brought, which ended up being my institute where I started teaching.
yeah.
Mhm.
So let's talk about now, I know that you've written a few books and you have now this SHB movement. Tell us a little bit more about the SHB movement and the program that you offer for people.
I'd be happy to. I'm so excited about it, actually. So I taught for 25 years in a brick and mortar school. We're actually 20 years before COVID. But so I would work with people individually, and and in groups to raise the vibration and really get them onto this path, and it was an absolutely amazing thing. So when COVID came along, I had to switch to online immediately,
Mhm.
and I discovered that this work transfers through technology beautifully. Just incredible. So then I decided that I would evolve my institute into a movement, because now actually I can basically open this work up to more people through technology.
Mhm.
So I started the SHB movement. SHB stands for Stewards of a Higher Bandwidth. So people that see themselves as wanting to steward elevated consciousness.
Mhm.
And so people come from all walks of life and professions and expertise, religions, political views, does not matter. We don't really talk about those things in the movement because we're talking about ultra consciousness,
Mhm.
which is also unity consciousness, where we all come together. So it's a place that when people sign up for the movement, they're signing up for at least 4 sessions live with me a month. I'm teaching energy work, I'm teaching elevation of consciousness, I'm teaching people to develop their own psyche in this way so that they can live it out and discover who we're really meant to be. I wrote a book. It's a companion book called The Book of Shib, Age of Love, because I think that's what we're moving into with
Mhm.
unity consciousness. So it's just a movement for people that say, I'm in, I'm all in, and I want to develop my consciousness with guidance and with community.
That sounds amazing.
It's been amazing.
Yeah. How long have you had it open now?
About a year.
A year. Okay.
So, yeah, so basically, um, it takes a lot of work to launch a movement.
Mhm.
I actually had no idea how much work, but that's okay. So yeah, we have state-of-the-art technology. We have a community platform. We have a lot of different aspects to the movement that support people. All of the sessions that we do are recorded so that people can go back and listen and learn and uh, uh, develop more. So yeah, it's been incredible. And what I've done is I've just personally interviewed people to come into it to make sure that they're all in and that they're ready for the transformation. And so the people who are in the movement, even though they come from all walks of life, they've been vetted that they're
Mhm.
right. So it's people, I mean, the energetics of coming in, um, it's just like, okay, yeah, we're meant to be together doing this. It's a
Right.
very warm and incredible, welcoming experience.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. And so let's talk a little bit about just shifting gears just a little bit, but not that
Uh-huh.
much, about the
Yeah.
books that you wrote. So specifically on the most recent one, which was the gifts, the gifted.
Oh, The Gifted. So
Yeah.
yeah, that book, well, let me just say this. The most recent one that I wrote is the Book of Shib, but that's not that I it's not available. It's actually technically available, but I priced it really high so that people wouldn't buy it because it's really for the movement, right?
Hmm.
Because we need to dive into what it means and all that kind of thing. It's a lot of depth in it. So,
Okay.
okay, but go back to the book that I wrote before that, which is called The Gifted. That book is it is um my way of writing about complex topics in a more simple way. And I wasn't sure that I would be able to do it. I was working with a coach at that time. and a writing coach. And what he said, I said, I want to take my work to a larger audience because I think more people can really benefit from this. And he said, yeah, but your work is very esoteric. So nobody's going to understand it without actually working with you. I said, well, what if I tried to explain it in a way that's not? So I set out on that journey to do that. And so I basically rechanneled the core concepts of my work into a book that that actually holds a lot of power. So I'm really proud of that and happy that that happened. So The Gifted is about the 9 gifts that we all have, and um if we learn to embrace these gifts, it will change our life. So, in some ways, it's a framework for the same journey. It's just talked about really differently.
So it's anyone can access it.
Yeah, well, it's more so one of the inspirations for the book was The Prophet
Hmm.
by Khalil Gibran. And so there is kind of a poetic classic writing that came through for this book. And so I wouldn't say that people will learn the technology, the energetic technology. It doesn't talk about quantum energy. It doesn't talk about chakras. It doesn't talk about technology. It talks about who we are as humans. And so in some ways, it takes people into that state of mind, or it expands their consciousness to see, oh yeah, we're more than what we thought we were, and
Hmm.
this is really who we are. It talks about the ego. There's a whole chapter on the ego, which I think is really helpful for people. um so but it does not go into, okay, I'm on this path, I need to learn how to be on this path energetically. I need to understand my own psyche personally. It doesn't go that far.
Okay. But it is enough of an introduction to give people an idea and maybe to help expand the mind, right? So that,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I gave the book to somebody. I was remodeling my kitchen one year, and the person at the store, it was a big box store, right? A big store with all sorts of fixtures, and I was in there looking and so forth. And I really appreciated her help. And I learned that she volunteered at a homeless shelter. And I just felt inspired to give her the gifted as a thank you for all the kind work that she did for me. I said, the homeless shelter may appreciate this too, right? It would be a motivational book or whatever. And so the next time I walk into the store, one of the young men who um, was just, early 20s, and he came up to me and he said, "You wrote The Gifted, right?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I read that book. I can't believe it. It made so much sense. I really, really got a lot out of that book." And I'm like, okay, that is so cool. Thank you for sharing that with me. So I think people have been touched by the book.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. And it's still available for on Amazon if anybody wants to get it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Mhm,
great. And you have like, I don't know, 3 editions of it so far or something, right?
mhm.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, and it
cool.
was featured at the International Book Expo in New York as well. So, it does have a lot of power in it, in its own way. So,
What about you've worked with leaders as well, right? You've done some.
absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that work, what kind of angle you take, and what people come out of it with.
So, I've been fascinated with organizational development. Um, and when I went to school to become a psychotherapist, the the school that I went to basically had 2 tracks, and one was for leading and consulting, and one was for psychotherapy. Interestingly enough, I took the leading and consulting track. And even though I eventually became a psychotherapist, but I always had clients who were in business, either as leaders or owners of companies. And so it's actually one of my favorite things to do because leadership is such a special thing in terms of being able to impact groups of people. And if I can help one person impact a lot of people, then there's just more of a there's more of a vibe to that for me. I mean, individuals as well, but it's just there's another level of exhilaration, put it that way.
Hmm.
So, what that looks like is for people, I mean, I've worked with people who are leaders who have had zero awareness about energetics.
Hmm.
And as I have taught them, they have been very skeptical. Like it's, like whatever, whatever. I said, okay, well, here's the thing, just do it and see what happens, right? And so basically taught them how to get into a higher vibration through chakra work, energetics, elevating their consciousness. And I said, now, when you communicate with your staff, just hold this presence and see what happens. And what they said was that it was transformational. And they couldn't believe it. They're like, I'm not doing anything different. I said, but your presence has changed.
Hmm.
So the whole vibe has changed. And when your presence change, I call it profound presence, you're opening up pathways for people to bring their creativity to work. You're making it safe for them. So that's just one example about how a leader can change everything just by being aware of their own vibration. So that's one example. Another example is how I have helped people's small businesses go from their original business to what I call 2.0. And 2.0 is what they really want this business to be. And that is an incredibly creative process. And if the creativity is not in the process, we're not going to get to 2.0. That's all there is to it. So, opening up creative energy in the conversations, getting to truth, getting to mission, getting to purpose, and then getting to a brand that actually reflects that mission and purpose and energy, and then launching, rebranding, and launching that at this higher level of energy and seeing what happens. People are doubling their revenue by doing this, right? There was so much potential that they did not understand they had. When we get the vision up to a higher level,
Hmm.
it just opens and staff responds and clients respond. And, there's a response and the response is magnetic. And so it's transformational.
Yeah, I can totally see how that could happen because,
Yeah.
both on the leader in a larger institution, but especially in a smaller company,
Yes.
even in a solopreneurship,
Oh,
obviously, because it's just one
definitely.
person, but
Definitely.
you just start to operate at a level that, it's just you shatter through all of the perceived ceilings, right?
Yes.
Because you're just looking at it from a completely different perspective.
And you tap into an energetic of certainty
Hmm.
that is like, oh, of course this is going to happen. I can feel it. I feel that this is the right thing to do. And
Yeah,
so then there's enthusiasm and people are getting out of bed with a little, skip in their step and everything is going up because they're vibrating at a higher frequency.
yeah, yeah. There must also be, though, I feel like I've felt that, and then I also feel the little guy coming from below saying, "Mm."
Yeah, totally. Yes.
The doubting, and the I'm not good
Yes.
enough. It's like, again, why are you there again?
Exactly. Yeah, because that's part of the evolution. right? The alchemy between our higher consciousness and our ego, right? And here's the thing, that's the fight. That's the
Uh-huh.
fight. It's an internal fight. And
Uh-huh.
yes, we have to say every time we get to a higher vibration and the ego says, "Oh, don't do that. You're not that. You're not that, you know, good or that whatever worthy or whatever the voices are."
Uh-huh.
We, through this work, can witness that. We have a third place. And the witness says, this is just alchemy, right? The alchemy that takes us from the lower vibration to the higher vibration. I have to do that inside myself. I have to be able to hold my own truth, because it's a little microcosm. If we can hold our own with ourselves, we can hold our own in the world.
Uh-huh.
But if we can't hold our own with ourselves, we're going to collapse the minute somebody challenges us in the world.
Right.
So it's kind of a perfect training that it starts there.
Yeah. May not feel
Uh-huh.
so perfect.
I know. It may not feel perfect. Exactly. Right. It feels
Yeah.
perfectly awful.
Yeah. Like, oh God, here we go again.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, mindful of the time, I just want to bring some wrapping up questions, sorry. There's a lot of, yeah, global conflict, shall we say, a lot of change that's happening in the world. I try not to tune into it too much, but am aware. And what is your sense of like energetic shifts? Because I feel like we're all kind of rising much more than we're going down, but we're definitely seeing a lot of the down, a lot of
Mhm.
like the ugly side of things. What's your take, and where do you see us moving forward?
So when we look at it from a quantum physics, quantum mechanical model, so in in quantum theory, there's actually 11 dimensions to life, and there are universes of experience. So the way that translates into my work is that I focus on what I believe are the first 5 dimensions. And the first 5 dimensions are actually separate energetic fields that we need to shift to be able to navigate our lives. And the first field is where we're seeing the down. That's the chaos, despair, ugliness, darkness in the world. And it's a real field. It probably rules about literally 60-70% of our life experience is incredibly influenced by it. It is technically a lot of egos trying to figure something out in that realm. It's ego to ego to ego to ego, and when we go into that realm ourselves, when we get pulled into it either through our thoughts or our emotions, then we are also operating from ego,
Hmm.
right? Because we're afraid and we don't think we have any power and we forget who we are and we think that we have to choose sides. It's very polarizing, and we get into good and bad and all these different fragmented experiences. But there are 4 other fields that actually have potential. And the second field is the sacred. And this is a completely different field, and it's where we're together with loved ones. We feel safe. It's where we're in a sanctuary or we're in nature, but our ego relaxes and we get reconnected with the cosmic experience of life. We can look up at the stars and say, "Oh yeah,
Hmm.
this is way bigger than I can ever imagine." That the first field is just a very small part of reality when it comes to the bigger reality. As we grow energetically and develop our chakra system and our light body and our sense of I am, we're able to hold our I am as we go back into that world. And now we're in flow. Now that lower dimension is not impacting us because we're vibrating at a higher level. We're not thinking good or bad. We're not polarized. We're not judging. We're not interested. We really don't have an opinion in a lot of ways. We're just letting whatever needs to happen happen, but we know what we're about, and we know that we're about living on a higher vibration. And then we magnetize what we want from our life. And we create our life out of this higher energy. So we're actually living in a dimension and creating our life in a dimension that is literally sitting on top of the other dimension. We have to be careful not to take ourselves into that
Mhm.
dimension. We have to
Mhm.
stay above that dimension. It doesn't mean we don't need to know what's happening, right? I watch the news, I see what's happening, and I actually track the energetics and say, yeah, all of this is probably what needs to happen, not in terms of decisions, but in terms of humanity being able to see clearly, have it right in front of us that this is ridiculous.
Mhm.
This is absolutely 100% ridiculous. We can do better. We can do better. So I think it gives us a huge view of what not to be and what not to do, and that we are on a path to be who we're meant to be.
Yes. Absolutely. And we have a lot of youth that's also, clearly going in that direction, and I'm very happy for that.
Isn't it? It's
Yeah.
so incredible. There are so many people that are on this wave now. So many people are saying, I want to learn about my energy. I'm ready.
Mhm.
Right? I used to think it was kooky, but now I think that it's really the way to go. And it's an exhilarating time.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Daphne. It was such a pleasure to have you on and to learn
Thank
from you.
you. Thank you so
Thanks.
much. It's been wonderful to be here.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Share with the audience how they can get in touch with you and learn more about your offerings.
Yes, I would love to. Thank you. So if you go to daphne michaels.com, you can actually sign up for what I call the SHB experience. It's a free event, and we do chakra alignments and clear energetic blocks and take you to a higher frequency. And then I talk a little bit about the SHB movement as well. So that would be the first place to start, and I'd love to see you there.
All right. And more information will be included in the description so that you can
Thank
just
you.
follow the link. All right.
Wonderful.
Well, thanks again.
Thank
And
you.
thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please share it, comment, and let us know what is your experience of this higher vibration, or have you been able to touch the ultra consciousness state? Be really interesting to hear about your experiences. Thanks again, Daphne.
Thank you.